Let us pray. May the thoughts of our hearts, the meditation of our minds be unto you, O Lord, now and always. Amen. Those who don't know me, and those who do know me, or shall I say those who do know me, know that I come out of a retail world. And so often I go back to my comfort zone and I talk about what I know. I want to start off by saying that if you walked into a supermarket and you went through the store and you went to the back and you ordered something and there was nobody there and they rang the bell and the owner of the company came around and opened up and served you, gave you the food, made it. Halfway through it, he had to run to the front because there was another customer and he had to do the till. In the process, he was also busy packing out products and putting them on the shelves and marking them. And in the whole process around this, you were getting very frustrated because instead of the McDonald's 3 minutes, you were having the 15 minutes to get your hamburger and chips. You're not going to be very inclined to want to go back there because it's disorganized. And one wonders, why doesn't he employ some other people to help him? A cashier, somebody to work on the tills. Somebody to work on the food side. Somebody to pack the shelves. And sometimes the church is the same. We come here and we're quite content if one person does everything. We're quite content if the priest is the one that runs the show and does everything. In actual fact, we get quite upset if we phone and we say, would you please send somebody to come and pray, and it's not the priest that arrives to pray with you. Because we expect almost that is what has to be done. My argument is, why do we have the double standards? Why is it that we're not wanting and willing to be involved so that we too can be part of the organization? So that we too can offer our services? Now, I can tell you something now, and that is that one has your own gifts and your own talents. And I was having a lovely conversation with a friend on Friday. She was just saying she doesn't do quiet days. She can't find God there and she can't keep quiet. So I said, well, what do you do? She says, oh no, I retreat into my room and I play music and I can hear God through that. And I said, well, that's your gift, your talent, your way of worshiping, of hearing God. Yesterday we had our annual planning day. And the numbers were not great. In actual fact, there's a lot more of you here today than there was yesterday. But we did go ahead. And one of the things that continually came out is we need commitment. We need to have people volunteering. But not volunteering because you've been told to volunteer, but volunteering because you want to volunteer. We decided in the whole process that early next year we're going to look at doing an Alpha course. Now, Alpha is a wonderful tool to do and to use and to bring people into church. But it doesn't help to have an Alpha course and the only people that are on it are all people that are already avid Christians. Because then we're wasting our time. We're just doing a program for the sake of doing a program. And so what we're challenging the congregation is to invite others to join us. Those friends that are struggling with issues, to come and join and see what it's about. It does mean that we have to give of ourselves. It might mean that you might have to say to that friend, come along and I'll go with you. Well, I'll come with you. In James, we read that James was saying to those he was writing this letter to, don't go to the mirror and look in the mirror, and as soon as you turn away, walk away, forgetting what you look like. And sometimes how we come to church is that way. We come into church and we see the glory of God. We see what God wants for us and what God promises us and what God gives us. But as soon as we walk out the door, as soon as we walk out the gate, we forget that image and we continue living our life as if it has no purpose. We continue living our life the way we carried on living it before. The gospel reading this morning must be maybe the shortest gospel reading I've ever read. And I think it was done on purpose, because if you read a little bit above or a little bit below, you can ignore what we had to read. But this comes in the center of the Sermon on the Mount. And it's at this time when Jesus preaches the Sermon on the Mount that many turn away because the message is too hard. And I think one of the biggest problems we've made in the Christian church is we've made Christianity too easy. I'm not talking about having a logbook or a checklist. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is how God is calling us to give of ourselves, and give of our talents, and give of our gifts. Because it is in that way that we are giving that we will receive. Now that's not very Pauline, I know. But it is very Jesus and it is very James. Salvation is not by works. But if we are saved and we don't do works, we can't continue to claim salvation. One of my favorite stories, and I'm sure some of you may have heard me tell it already, but you'll hear it again more than once. The Archbishop of Canterbury, a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure, can't remember which Archbishop it was sitting in a coach. He was coming from Canterbury down to London by train. And a young, enthusiastic Pentecostal burst into his compartment, and he turned to the Archbishop. Seeing him in purple and everything else, he thought, what the hell, I'm going for broke. And he turned to the Archbishop and said, brother, are you saved? And the Archbishop, without batting an eyelid, without saying anything, he turned around and he said, I have been saved, I am being saved, and with God's grace, I will be saved. Salvation is not about a once-off, this is what the time it is. It is an ongoing process. It is a process that one needs to continue to do. And in that process, we have to do God's will. And so God's will is being involved. God's will is about actually stepping out of our comfort zone. God's will is about bringing others in with us. God's will is living our life to mirror Him so that others see Christ in us. And so I want to really ask you that let 2016, and I know it seems a long way away, got a real big fright yesterday. I was told there's 12 Sundays till Christmas. But let's look at how we can make this church in the community that we live in a mirror image of Christ. An image that when people walk past there, they say, what is St. Wilfrid's? They don't say, oh, they have church services at 7:30 and 9:30 on a Sunday. I don't know, I've never been in there. But that they say, that community is a true image of Christ. They mirror what Christ himself would have done. And so in conclusion, the more we grow as Christians, the more we begin to realize what a privilege it is to be in such a partnership with God himself. There's an increasing desire to give more of ourselves, talents and resources, or even our money to God. We cannot outgive God. I want to repeat that. You can't outgive God. God will outgive you every single Monday of every week. He is so faithful, sometimes in a quite surprising way. And so remember this as we think and contemplate about the forms, the dedicated forms we're going to sign and fill in next week. Think about the challenge that God is putting on your heart. Amen. And so I invite you to stand and turn to page 100.